Alright, guys, so today we are going to be talking about leaked concept art, and with it comes a few caveats. First of all, I normally don't like to look at this kind of stuff just because I don't want things to get spoiled for myself, but I opened up Twitter and it was just like, boom, here it is. And it was like, well, I saw it. I can't unsee it. So I might as well make content out of it. But also, so I guess that's just to warn you. It's like, hey, if you don't want to look at this stuff, then you probably just shouldn't watch the video. But I will also say that concept art isn't necessarily going to be in the final product, right? Like, they make a lot of concept art for these MCU movies that just don't end up in the movie at all. Like, I think a really good example of this is the concept art for Shang-Chi, where, if you remember that Fight Club thing, there were a whole bunch of different characters that were initially thought to be put in the Shang-Chi Fight Club that never ended up being in the movie. So, you know, take all of that with what you will. Let's get into it nonetheless. All right, so we're going to start here with what looks to be the Young Avengers, which is like a project that has been rumored for a while, but I think a lot of people are just like, I don't know about the Young Avengers. That sounds cringe. MCU, you're falling off. But, I mean, it seems like they're definitely thinking about having them be a thing. So we have Kate Bishop, Cassie Lang, Billy or Tommy. Well, both Billy and Tommy, but I forget which one is Billy and Tommy. I also forget which one is Wiccan. I don't know. They're Scarlet Witch's kids. And then we have Miss Marvel. So those, I guess, are going to potentially end up being the Young Avengers. Then on their left, we have Star-Lord. I don't think he would be a part of the Young Avengers, but also he could be a mentor, potentially, maybe. That might seem reasonable, to be fair. And then we also have Wong here. Again, I don't think Wong would be a part of the Young Avengers, but he could also be a mentor figure. I don't know. And then we have a Goop character. I think his name is Goop or something like that. For that, let's actually read this article that breaks it down, because I do not wield the comic book knowledge necessary in order to properly break down this image. So it says the Young Avengers and Dupe? Question mark, exclamation point. We've been hearing rumblings for a while about the Young Avengers, or champions, assembling in Avengers Doomsday, and what appears to be to finally be official. Star-Lord and Wong are with the team in what appears to be a bar of some sort. Making up the team are Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, Cassie Lang, Wiccan, and Speed. Wiccan and Speed. Presumably meaning Billy Maximoff will indeed track his brother down in the upcoming Vision TV series. That's right! I forgot that there was a Vision TV series. I was actually looking at a lot of these images of like, how is any of this going to end up happening? Like, is that all just going to happen in Doomsday? There is a Vision TV series. Okay, I mean, that would make sense. Also, did they like say that Kate Bishop was Hawkeye? Did she? Is it like Spider-Man where she just takes up the mantle of Hawkeye? Like, I'm just wondering, did that actually happen in the Hawkeye show? I don't have many memories of that show. In fact, I tried to block it out. Anyways. Perhaps the biggest talking point is the presence of Dupe, a member of X-Statix. He's an incredibly powerful and mysterious mutant creature, and in the comics speaks his own unique language. We'd guess he's from elsewhere in the multiverse. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about that. I guess it's interesting that they're seemingly setting up X-Men stuff in Doomsday. I don't know what exactly that would set up and how we could expect Dupe to play into the what's presumably going to be the mutant saga post Secret Wars. But a lot of possibilities there. Honestly, I guess the most interesting part about that is the fact that Marvel is indeed thinking about the Young Avengers being a thing. I think it could work. Like, again, I just want to say this as well. I don't think that the problem with post Endgame MCU are like the projects that they decided to do. Like, I don't think that there's anything inherently bad about a Miss Marvel show / the Marvels movie. I don't think there was anything inherently bad about a Hawkeye show with Kate Bishop. I don't think that there's anything bad about setting up Cassie Lang in the Ant-Man Quantumania movie. It's just that the execution of it was all way off. And so I'm not against a Young Avengers movie or a Young Avengers TV show because it could be good. And like I think that all of those actors are good and I think could work well off of one another. So, yeah, even though I'm not like entirely in love with all of the projects that these characters are a part of, mainly being Hawkeye and Quantumania because I actually really liked Agatha all along. And I really loved the Miss Marvel show, even though it does have its problems, and I absolutely hated the Marvels. I still think Iman Vellani is fantastic as Kamala Khan. But, anyways, moving on. The other leaked concept art is this Hulk village. Like, it's not just Hulk and She-Hulk and his son. What I think that's a son. If you look in the background, there are other Hulk people. So I guess this would be like a different universe where they go to like maybe a planet of Hulks, or maybe there is just a planet of Hulks. I don't know, because one of the weirdest and worst things that the MCU has done post Endgame is She-Hulk, but mainly the introduction of Hulk's son. They just provided zero explanation for that, and so I'm just like, I don't even know what to think about that. Where did he get his son? I don't even know that I care to see the explanation for that. Like, you could literally just forget about the existence of his son, and I wouldn't honestly blame them for that. But they are indeed tackling it, it seems, and they're going to find some way to explain it and or just use the fact that he has a son. So, I don't know. Anyways, I guess we should read that article to get more insight about what that could all potentially mean. Hulk Village. At first glance, it looks like Bruce Banner and She-Hulk are in Latveria alongside Scar. However, look closer and this artwork is actually full of Hulks, including a little girl who appears to be mid-tantrum and mid-transformation. While it's possible Scar has grown up a little since we last saw him, that may just be one of many medieval Hulks who are helping Bruce and Jennifer Walters get accustomed to their surroundings. Another sketch shows a mysterious character chained up with water pouring over them. Based on the steam rising from them, we'd bet on that being Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch, who is likely Doctor Doom's captive. That's interesting. I have not seen that concept art. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, okay. So yeah, we are gonna see in later concept arts Latveria. And this Hulk village does kind of look like Latveria. Or like it looks like an Eastern European country. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a Hulk country in whatever universe Doctor Doom is from. Who knows? Moving on. So there's this other concept art. Here we see Peter Quill again, and he's seemingly roommates with Vision. Yeah, it's just like, this seems like it could be an interesting pairing. It is just one of those things of like, well, how are we going to end up there? Although, again, I did forget that there was a Vision TV show coming out, so presumably the Vision TV show might end with him and Star-Lord being roommates. I do have to wonder, is Star-Lord going to be a part of that Vision TV show? I don't think that Chris Pratt would do a Disney Plus show, to be honest with you, but who knows? That being said, I mean, we have seen in past Avengers movies just having these random oddball pairings, right? Like, I think if I had heard that Thor and the Guardians were going to meet up in Infinity War, I probably would have been like, well, how is that going to happen? Because, you know, Thor is off dealing with Asgard or whatever. Like, I don't know that necessarily, I don't know if that would happen organically, but then they just did it, you know? So there doesn't even necessarily have to be set up from Vision Quest. Like, I don't think Chris Pratt has to appear in it for them to just be friends in Secret Wars, or like them meet up or not in Secret Wars, in Doomsday. I can't talk too much stupid Marvel words, okay? But what I'm saying is that I think they could just show up and be friends and become friends in Avengers Doomsday. I don't think that would be that big of a deal. But yeah, we'll read the article again to see what other insight they have to give us. Part of the fun with these Avengers movies is seeing unexpected characters share the screen, and that looks set to be the case with the legendary Star-Lord and White Vision. Somehow it seems they've become roommates. That's surely another development set to be tackled in Vision when the android presumably regains his emotions. With Peter Quill now on Earth and Vision still figuring out who he is, they may have struck up an unlikely friendship. Either way, between this and the Young Avengers artwork mentioned above, Marvel Studios looks set to make good on its promise to put the spotlight back on Star-Lord after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That is true. Like, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 did end with the whole Star-Lord will return. So we've been waiting to see when that's going to be. It could potentially be Vision Quest, but it will almost certainly be in Avengers Doomsday. All right. Now we also got looks at Doctor Doom. I mean, he's not really all that green, which I know him to be. But it is like another weird multiversal variant of Doctor Doom where he's played by Robert Downey Jr. So, like, I'm okay with him not looking like the traditional one. This is also, I think I've heard people saying this is the Doctor Doom design from the comic book Secret Wars. So who knows? And then we also have a look at this weird like throne room scene where we have Doctor Doom, presumably a multiversal variant of Doctor Strange, who works for Doctor Doom. Then we have this guy who's on his knees. He was presumably arrested. I think he has a sword, but I can't really tell who he is. But then we have what seems to be Yelena, a multiversal version of Yelena, who's like a part of Doctor Doom's Royal Guard, potentially. So interesting stuff. We'll take a look at what that article has to say, actually. Doctor Doom and some familiar faces. So we finally have a first look at Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, and he looks mighty formidable. He's also not in anything even remotely similar to an Iron Man suit, so that's a huge win. That's actually true. I do think that one of the biggest things that this movie has to do is make us not just look at Robert Downey Jr. and feel like he's just a random Iron Man variant. Like, hopefully they're able to kind of have their cake and eat it too, where having a Doctor Doom that looks like Tony Stark, do something interesting narratively with that, but also have Robert Downey Jr. deliver a performance that doesn't just feel like evil Iron Man. So we'll see how they do that. Marvel Studios appears to have embraced the villain's Latvian heritage, and we also see Doom in what could be his white Emperor Doom costume from Secret Wars. An unknown character has been brought before him, Reed Richards maybe, but there are other familiar faces. The guard on the right looks an awful lot like Yelena Belova, while Doctor Strange also appears to be part of Doom's court. Could the woman and child on the right be Sue Storm and Franklin Richards? Oh, okay, let me bring that picture up again. Not that one, this one. Yeah, I mean, I could see why you would think that, right? Because he's they're standing off to the side of Doctor Doom, so that would make sense if in this evil alternate universe, Sue Storm is with Doctor Doom. I mean, that would make sense. And then having Franklin Richards. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Interesting stuff. All right, next little bit image here. We have what seems to be a new T'Challa, or maybe T'Challa's son, all grown up. Those are the two rumors of what it could be, but in any case, they are seemingly wanting to not have Shuri be Black Panther moving forward, and they're looking for a way to replace her. So, I mean, this is my thing, right? I was always of the opinion that you could have recasted T'Challa. I always thought that the argument of that it would be somehow disrespectful to Chadwick Boseman to be really ridiculous. Actors have died in the past and they've recasted the character, and it's never been seen as disrespectful in any way, because it isn't. It's if somebody dies, it's their job doesn't just go away. You hire somebody else, and it sucks. It's horrible. Obviously you're going to mourn him, but you do move on at some point. So I always thought that they could have recasted him if they wanted to, but then they didn't make that decision. They made the decision to make Shuri the new Black Panther, and they made Shuri go through that, in my opinion, really compelling emotional arc and the mourning process and her grappling with the darkness inside of her due to that mourning process. And it's like, to me, it's like, okay, well, you made your decision and you made Shuri go through this character arc. You made her the new Black Panther. I feel like it would be just really shitty to be like, never mind. Screw that. Who cares? We're just going to bring back T'Challa again because some people didn't like Black Panther Wakanda Forever. But it's like, I don't think it's because Shuri was the Black Panther that people didn't like it. I think people didn't like it because there were ways that you could have made that movie more compelling and better. Although I'm like on the total opposite side of things where I actually think the first Black Panther movie is like a little overrated. I don't really think that T'Challa is a very interesting character in that movie. And I actually found Wakanda Forever to just be a much more compelling story and film. So I admit, though, I am in the minority there. But either way, you made your decision. Like, come into it. I don't know. Like, well, whatever. I understand why they're doing it, and I'm not going to sit here and get angry or upset about it. But yeah, let's see what the article has to say about this image. The MCU's new Black Panther. Much has been said about Marvel Studios recasting T'Challa after Chadwick Boseman's tragic death. Now it finally seems to be happening, though scoopers appear unsure whether it's going to be a multiversal variant or an adult to Saint/T'Challa 2. So yeah, that's like the son that they revealed at the end of Wakanda Forever, which I feel like if they made him the son, that would be kind of cheap because it's like, well, that's not T'Challa, just to be clear. But whatever. There are several costume designs here, so it remains to be seen which of them the MCU's new Black Panther will don in Avengers Doomsday next year. However, we're far more interested in who appears to be playing him. That's Snowfall and F1 star Damson Idris. Marvel Studios rarely uses an actor's likeness if they're not at least close to being cast, so yes, he's very likely the MCU's new Black Panther. It's an intriguing casting choice, but he certainly looks the part here. So let me pull up, I think I have like an actual picture of that actor here. So this is the actual actor. He looks young, I will say. Like, he looks like a little baby. He looks like a young man. So that feels like that would make sense to be like a grown-up version of T'Challa's son, as opposed to just another actor playing T'Challa. But it's also, if it's a multiversal variant, and if the plan here is to have Secret Wars end with like a brand new universe where things are just different, I mean, it also, at that point, it doesn't even really matter who you end up casting. So yeah, I don't really think we're any closer to knowing exactly what their plans are with the new Black Panther. But it's a lot of food for thought, isn't it? I'll just reiterate, none of this is like confirmed to be happening in Avengers Doomsday. Concept art is never, it's never a confirmation of anything. All it means is that they talked about concepts of what could potentially be in the movie, and some artists, they drew up concept art about those concepts, but it's entirely possible that at the end of the day they decide to not do anything that we saw in these pictures. So I wouldn't run too wild with any of this. It's all just things to think about. It definitely does highlight, though, my main worry about Avengers Doomsday, which is that there's not a clear path to a satisfying conclusion here like there was with the Infinity Saga, right? Like, the Multiverse Saga is just all of these weird, disparate choices that we're waiting to see if they get followed up on. They don't really tell a unified story. It's all just weird and unsatisfying. And so if the Russo brothers are able to pull off a way that we can touch, where we can like not ignore things, right? Like Hulk's son, not ignore things like, you know, T'Challa, like the death of T'Challa, and actually switch it around and flip-flop it around and bring back T'Challa in some weird way. Like, if they can actually grapple all of these things in a way that at the end of the day feels satisfying, like they're never going to do another Infinity War and Endgame because They just don't have the groundwork for that. But if they can, at the very least, make entertaining movies that are fan servicey and that please people, and then set up the runway for the MCU to then do the mutant saga in a way where the MCU fans are like energized and hopeful for the future, that'll be very impressive. I don't know if they can. I'm going to be honest with you, but we'll see. We will wait and see. Let me know what you think about any and all of this in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.